Well, my connection to the foundation goes back a long, long time. I started off as deputy chairperson when the current president, Cyril Ramaphosa, was the chair, and then he became the president, and I took over as chairperson of the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation board, which is what I still am today. And it's a fantastic board. It's really a pleasure to work with a bunch of committed people doing work in their own right in many different fields, and who all believe in promoting and taking forward the legacy of Ahmed Kathrada, deepening democracy in our country, fighting against racism and fighting for a non-racial democratic South Africa where people live lives of dignity. It's firmly held by every member of the board. So it's been a real privilege for me and an honor to chair this board that oversees the work of the Ahmed Kathrada and guides the work to some extent of the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation. But I immediately have to say that there's not much guiding that is necessary, because you've got such good people working here and such a good executive director that, in a sense, we have so much trust in the team here that you can hardly describe it as oversight. It's us as board members giving the necessary support where we are able to. So it's been an excellent few days. For those of us, including myself, who don't live in Johannesburg, it's sometimes a bit difficult to be involved in all of the activities and events organized by the AKF. So when we come up to Johannesburg, from my view anyway, is that we should take maximum advantage of being up here. We came up here for a physical board meeting. Most of our board meetings are virtual. We agreed at the board meeting on Saturday that at least twice a year we would be up here. We would have a physical board meeting, a longer board meeting where we can talk a bit more freely about where to with the foundation, what are the areas that we want to concentrate more on, what are the challenges, etc. But free discussion, rather than just dealing with the agenda items that have to be dealt with from time to time as well. So in being up here, the last 2 days of just being exposed, rather than being presented on a screen, being physically exposed to the incredible work that the foundation is actually doing, and in particular the youth clubs, has been, for me personally, it's been an eye-opener, because so far I've only seen it on paper. It's been an inspiration, but it also prods me into becoming more involved in the work of the foundation. That was certainly the outcome of yesterday and today, that the work that is being done merits and deserves as much support as we can possibly give it. And of course, resources being part of it. But I think board members have their own connections and their own experiences. They can share some of their organizational experience with the youth clubs, but also help connect the youth clubs with other organizations to create partnerships and collaboration, and help possibly in getting specific projects going and finding the resources to do that. But the starting point is us as board members being highly appreciative and understanding the nature of the work done by the youth clubs, and that is what these last 2 days have certainly done for me. It's really been a motivation and an inspiration. Well, I think for the youth clubs to really grow, it has to now shift from numbers of establishing numbers of clubs. 56 is more than halfway to the target of establishing 100 youth clubs. But it's also about the quality of the youth club, because that feeds on itself. That will ensure growth and sustainability of the youth club. So, you can chase numbers of clubs, but that isn't really what it should be about. It's about establishing clubs that really have a presence in the communities that they work, that are able to grow. And I think the critical ingredient to growth is firstly the quality of people one brings in initially, the quality of support that these clubs are given by the foundation, and then secondly, the kinds of programs that can be initiated by these clubs, the programs or activities that really are related to some of the community needs, and it enables the community or members of the community to see real and experience real value in the work of the youth clubs. For the youth clubs to exist is fine, and for them to take forward the messages and the legacy of Ahmad Kathrada, Uncle Kathy, but it's not enough to really make an impact in the communities which they are part of and which they serve. So, for example, the water testing project that we went to this morning, it's a real service, and sponsorship can be sought and found for a particular activity. For example, the water testing, the kids have been donating, but there are many other activities. So the water testing is critically important, and it's empowering, and it can make a real difference, but it has to be linked to putting more pressure on the local authority to do what they are meant to do. And so when it's discovered, as we did this morning, that the water that was tested at a primary school, although the final testing still has to be done, it's already clear that the water is quite unsuitable and quite dangerous. So here we are, kids at school drinking water that is actually unfit for human consumption. And why does it take the youth club to discover that? This is a kind of a basic service that should be provided by government, and government should be very concerned about, whichever tier of government it might be, government should be very concerned not only about availability of water, but the safety of the water that people drink. So it's one example of a real service that the youth clubs can provide, coupled with the kind of training that people can do it themselves, but then coupled with the community mobilization to ensure that government takes full responsibility for what it should be doing. So let me be disobedient, because I've been disobedient all my life. I'll say two things. One thing I take away is the passion and enthusiasm of the people responsible for establishing these clubs, the staff of AKF. It's just extraordinary, just amazing. But the second important takeaway, is the energy and the vibrancy you have in communities themselves. It just needs to be unleashed. So it was almost humbling to see these young, energetic, passionate people that really want something better for our country, not just for their own communities. And I suppose it's disturbing that these voices are often not heard, or opportunities are not given to these talented, dynamic, vibrant young people. And so again, for me, it's just, I just see now as we speak faces in front of me, faces that I met, that I saw, that I spoke to, many, whether it's at the Islamic school, and there were like these really genuine people coming up to me and saying, what can I do, what more can I do, I want to do this, and then expressing openly and honestly expressing some of their concerns about what's happening in the country, but not negatively, which was interesting. I'm afraid I've seen, and I understand why people say youth are apathetic, because in my, over many years doing door-to-door work with the ANC, I've really seen clusters of young people who are just doing nothing. And they are just disillusioned, they're unmotivated, they are apathetic, but they've lost hope. So they can't see any way of breaking the cycle. So it's not that isn't there. What is there, though, at the same time, and that's what needs to be unleashed, is amongst these younger people, there are outstanding individuals who can be a catalyst, who can even get through to to those that are somewhat apathetic and have to some extent lost hope. But it needs to be done organizationally. It can't just be the odd individual here and there. And for me, that is where the importance of an organized way of establishing youth clubs with a kind of a central support becomes critically important. You always ask these loaded questions. I can't repeat often enough how impressed I am by the people working with these youth clubs that have been given the responsibility and how they've taken it on with passion and enthusiasm. So, my word is just continue. And you're going to have your successes, you're going to have your, failures, but not every youth club that you formed will have the same degree of success. That's part of the game. But so just keep going. But keep going and keep challenging us board members to understand better what you're doing and to mobilize the kinds of resources, or try our best to mobilize additional resources, because I'm now convinced that if 10 million rand went straight to the youth club program, that 10 million rand would be really well spent.